There are places that were never meant to be found. Objects that shouldn't exist. Stories too ancient, too strange, to fit into our textbooks. For the next hour, you'll step into a world where science has no answers, where history fractures and logic collapses. These are the secrets buried beneath centuries of silence. And once you see them, you can't unsee them. Hidden in the margins of ancient lore and forbidden discoveries lies a skeleton so small, so bizarre, that its mere existence threatens to unravel everything we think we know about human origins. Standing no taller than a water bottle, with a skull almost as large as its torso, the so-called 10,000-year-old dwarf skeleton has become a riddle, whispered between archaeologists, skeptics, and conspiracy theorists alike. Is it a lost branch of humanity, a genetic anomaly, or something not quite human at all? While mainstream science turns its back, the few who have dared to examine it closely are left with a chilling realization: this tiny being doesn't fit anywhere on the evolutionary tree. It is an anatomical contradiction, one that refuses to be dismissed and demands that we look deeper into the shadows of prehistory. At the heart of this entire mystery lies the astonishingly abnormal body size of the skeleton. Standing only 15 to 20 centimeters tall, it initially resembles an underdeveloped human fetus. However, upon closer examination, the skeletal features reveal quite the opposite. This is not an ordinary infant. The bone system is fully ossified with clearly developed features, from aligned vertebrae and complete rib structure to a chest with a defined sternum. Despite their tiny size, the limbs show fully formed articulated joints and symmetrical proportions. Notably, the hands and feet display clearly segmented fingers and toes, something rarely seen in a fetus or undeveloped being. All these traits have led many to believe this could be a fully mature creature, but belonging to a miniature species entirely distinct from modern humans. One of the most shocking features of this skeleton is the extremely large skull in proportion to the rest of the body, so much so that it immediately evokes images of extraterrestrial beings in popular culture. According to descriptions, the skull accounts for nearly half the total body length, creating a striking and highly unusual imbalance. Most notably, the eye sockets are abnormally large, significantly exceeding the proportions found in modern humans, suggesting that this creature may have adapted to low-light environments or perhaps possessed a completely different visual system. Additionally, the nasal cavity is narrow and almost undeveloped, indicating that the sense of smell may not have been its primary sensory function. The jawbone structure is also incomplete and even absent in some specimens, possibly due to post-mortem decay or its original biological characteristics. Remarkably, no teeth were found, raising multiple hypotheses regarding its biological age, or the possibility that this being belonged to a completely separate evolutionary branch. Unlike human infants, whose bones are soft, undeveloped, and require years to mature, this skeleton displays clear signs of biological maturity despite its extremely tiny size. The joints are fully fused, the limbs are symmetrical, and the skull is fully developed, features typically seen only in fully grown beings. This raises a chilling question: could this be a mature individual from an unknown species of miniature humans? Or is it simply a case of an extremely rare genetic mutation in Homo sapiens that modern medicine has never documented. Even in the most severe cases of congenital dwarfism, it is exceedingly rare to observe such balanced and complete skeletal development, making the theory of a completely distinct species increasingly difficult to dismiss. One aspect that especially puzzles researchers is that the skeleton shows no signs of deformities or pathological conditions commonly seen in cases of congenital dwarfism. Typically, developmental disorders leading to extremely small stature are accompanied by clear abnormalities, curved bones, misaligned limbs, misshapen or asymmetrical skulls. But in this case, the entire skeletal structure appears strangely balanced and uniform, as if it were formed according to a complete biological blueprint, not one that belongs to modern humans. There are no signs of trauma, degenerative disease, or skeletal malformation. In fact, it is precisely this absence of irregularities that deepens the mystery. It suggests that this being may not be a flawed outcome of evolution, but rather a distinct creature that was always meant to be small, symmetrical, and unique. The implications of this are unsettling. If the skeleton is authentic, and many believe it is, then it represents either a completely unknown human subspecies or, even more controversially, a non-human, intelligent entity. Some point to legends found across indigenous cultures around the world, tales of little people who lived in forests, caves, or mountains. From the Hopi ant people to the Hawaiian Menehune, the concept of miniature humans has been deeply embedded in mythologies globally. Could this be one of them? A physical remnant of folklore turned fact? Of course, mainstream science has mostly rejected such conclusions, often dismissing the skeleton as a hoax, a misidentified fetus, or even a case of extreme pathology. Yet critics of this view highlight that no pathology known to modern medicine fully accounts for the observed bone structure. Furthermore, radiocarbon dating performed on surrounding materials has indicated an age of over 10,000 years, placing this being's existence near the end of the last ice age, a time when the Earth's environment and biosphere were dramatically different. Skeptics often point out the lack of peer-reviewed studies, limited sample availability, and questionable provenance of the artifact. But that's precisely what fuels the enduring mystery. If this skeleton is indeed a fake, why has it not been conclusively debunked in the decades since it emerged? And if it's real, why has it not been studied further? Why do reports surrounding it mysteriously disappear? And why do researchers who investigate it often find their work silenced or disregarded? The questions only grow more complex. If this was a member of an ancient miniature race, what happened to them? Were they a rare evolutionary offshoot? Were they wiped out by natural disasters, disease, or by competition with larger hominids? Could they still be hidden in remote, unexplored parts of the world? Or worse, intentionally covered up? In the age of DNA sequencing, microscopic analysis, and global scientific collaboration, it would seem easy to resolve such a mystery. But perhaps that is exactly what makes this case so disturbing. The 10,000-year-old dwarf skeleton is not just an anomaly in bone and shape. It is an anomaly in scientific treatment, in institutional response, and in our willingness to accept that not all things fit neatly into known categories. It stands tiny, fragile, and silent as a challenge to the boundaries of human understanding. In the end, the skeleton forces us to confront a truth that many are unwilling to admit that human history might be far stranger than we believe, and that the Earth may have once hosted beings that today exist only in myth shadow and forgotten bone. So, what do you think this tiny skeleton really is? A long-lost branch of ancient humans never documented by science? Some kind of extraterrestrial being, or simply an extremely rare mutation that has been exaggerated over time? Share your thoughts in the comments. Which theory do you believe in most? And why? Who knows, your perspective might just open up a whole new way of understanding this mystery that has lasted for tens of thousands of years. In the frigid, desolate waters off the coast of Antarctica, where sunlight never reaches and the crushing pressure would destroy any man-made device, a strange image suddenly emerged. On August 29, 1964, the American research vessel Eltanin accidentally captured a photograph of a bizarre object standing upright on the ocean floor more than 4,000 meters deep. It wasn't a rock, nor did it resemble any known marine organism. Instead, it appeared to be an antenna with a perfectly symmetrical structure, looking like something assembled with advanced technology. At first glance, it resembled a signal-receiving device, small branches radiating outward in evenly spaced formations, almost as if it were designed for a specific function. But who or what could have placed it in a place nearly untouched by human presence? And why, after nearly 60 years, can we still not say with certainty what it is? From that moment on, one of the ocean's most perplexing mysteries was born: the Eltanin antenna. And what makes it truly haunting is the cascade of bizarre, implausible, but impossible to fully dismiss theories about its origin, its purpose, and its true nature. At a depth of over 4,000 meters beneath the icy waters off Antarctica, where life is nearly non-existent and the water pressure is enough to crush most man-made devices, a strangely shaped object appeared in a photograph taken by the research vessel Eltanin. What astonished scientists was its highly symmetrical structure that looked intentionally designed, a vertical column standing firmly on the ocean floor with evenly spaced branches spiraling outward, resembling some kind of signal antenna. It looked nothing like coral, wasn't a soft-bodied marine organism, and lacked any features typical of natural sediment formations. There were no signs of marine growth, no organic coating, and most notably, no erosion or rust one would expect from submerged metal over time. Some experts at the time speculated that it could have been equipment dropped from a submarine or a research station. However, no records of lost devices existed for the area, and more importantly, there were no cables, mechanical parts, or any indication it had ever been connected to human activity. Its anonymous presence and seemingly artificial shape have since opened the door to a wide range of mysterious theories about its true origin. What makes the Eltanin antenna even more bizarre is the location where it was found, a remote deep-sea region off the coast of Antarctica, far from any shipping lanes, ports, or oil rigs. This is an area virtually untouched by humans, marked by extreme environmental conditions, freezing temperatures, and immense pressure. The presence of any man-made device at a depth of over 4,000 meters in such an isolated place is hard to accept. With the technology available in the 1960s, firmly anchoring a metal structure to the ocean floor at that depth would have been nearly impossible. unless it came from a source not of human origin. Due to its bizarre appearance, the Eltanin antenna has become a hot topic in fringe science communities, where theories often defy mainstream understanding, ranging from astonishing to outright eerie. Here are some of the most widely discussed. This is perhaps the most famous and daring theory. Some UFO researchers suggest that the Eltanin antenna is a type of signal transmitter or environmental sensor planted by an alien civilization to collect data about Earth. Its antenna-like structure resembles passive satellites or atmospheric sensors developed by humans, but its presence at such a deep, remote location leads many to believe that it could not have been built by humans. Some unverified reports even claim the device could be part of a subterranean network, a hidden communications system connecting deep-sea regions to undiscovered alien bases on Earth. Another explanation suggests the Eltanin antenna is not extraterrestrial, but rather a remnant from humanity's distant past. According to this theory, a highly advanced civilization may have existed tens of thousands of years ago, but was wiped out by global catastrophes such as floods, tectonic shifts, or other cataclysms. The Eltanin antenna could be part of a submerged technological installation, perhaps used for ancient climate observation or research. Some have even linked it to the legend of Atlantis, the mythical civilization swallowed by the sea, claiming it could be leftover technology from Atlantis or similar forgotten cultures. A more grounded but still mysterious theory is that the Eltanin antenna might be part of a classified military program established by the United States or another superpower during the Cold War. During the 1960s, it was not uncommon for military forces to experiment with deep-sea listening stations, submarine tracking systems, or underwater communication tools. But what raises eyebrows is the fact that this object was fixed, exposed, uncamouflaged, and lacked any clear technological indicators one would expect from military equipment. Years after the photograph of the Eltanin antenna was released, some marine biologists attempted to debunk the mysterious theories by offering a biological explanation. The object could simply be a species of deep-sea sponge known as Cladohesa concrescens. This soft-bodied organism anchors itself to the ocean floor and grows evenly spaced branches to filter food from passing currents. They suggested that the antenna appearance was merely the result of a coincidental camera angle, making a natural formation look like a man-made device. However, other researchers countered that there has been no recorded presence of Cladohesa in the region where the object was found. Furthermore, the organism's shape still differs significantly from what appears in the original image. Most importantly, a soft-bodied marine creature would have great difficulty standing upright and remaining firmly fixed under the strong, constant currents of the deep-sea environment. Perhaps the most puzzling aspect of all, nearly 60 years later, there has still been no official study, scientific investigation, or recovery attempt of the object. The few images taken in 1964 remain the only known evidence, prompting speculation that details have been suppressed or that governments may know more than they have revealed. Some conspiracy theorists even suggest the Eltanin vessel was not just a research ship, but a covert surveillance vessel, and that what it discovered may have gone far beyond what the public was told. Another question that arises: if this was a signaling device, where was it transmitting to? Could there be more such objects buried under sediment, hidden from view? Might there be an ancient or alien network operating quietly beneath the ocean floor, waiting to be discovered? What do you think? Do you believe the Eltanin antenna is just a bizarre-looking sea sponge? Or is it something much more, perhaps a device linked to alien life, or a technological echo from a lost civilization? Share your thoughts and theories in the comments. Your idea might just spark a new path towards solving a mystery that's remained unsolved for over half a century. Deep within the remote mountains and frigid ancient forests of Russia, where modern human footsteps seem to have never reached, something quietly exists, defying everything we thought we knew. Massive stone spheres, nearly perfect in shape, are scattered across wild landscapes belonging to no known civilization. There are no ruins nearby, no local legends, and not a single historical explanation. They are not displayed in museums. No one knows who created them. No one knows for what purpose. And most puzzling of all, no one knows why they're there. If they are a product of nature, why are they so flawless? If they were made by humans, then who had the skill to craft such things in such remote places and in a time without modern technology? That question remains unanswered to this day, and that is exactly what makes the Russian megaspheres one of the most bizarre and captivating mysteries still left on Earth. At first glance, these massive stone spheres might seem like the result of natural processes, such as mineral concretions slowly worn down over time. However, upon closer inspection, a number of unusual details become apparent. Some spheres exceed 3 meters in diameter, weigh several tons, and have surfaces that are almost perfectly smooth. Remarkably many feature sharp concentric grooves, symmetrical veining, and even straight, precise cuts that appear to have been made by modern machinery. These characteristics not only go beyond what natural geological formation typically produces, but also lead scientists to ask a serious question. Are these truly natural formations or evidence of an ancient civilization that human history has yet to recognize? Unlike the famous stone monuments of Egypt or South America, which can be clearly linked to specific cultures, accurately dated, and placed within known human settlements, the stone spheres found in Russia exist entirely outside any established historical framework. They are absent from local legends, bear no inscriptions, or carvings, show no signs of human activity or ritual use nearby, and most notably, no ancient civilization known to have existed in the region is believed to have possessed the technology required to craft such large, perfectly round stone objects. Archaeologists have been unable to associate them with the Scythians, the ancient Rus, or any indigenous group known to have lived in the area. In fact, no stone or metal tools ever discovered could plausibly have been used to shape these heavy, geometrically precise stone spheres. Even today, producing a granite sphere over 2 to 3 meters in diameter with such precision would require heavy industrial machinery, cranes for transportation, and advanced CNC techniques. So then, who created them? And how? That question remains unanswered to this day. Some geologists have proposed that these stone spheres might be the result of a rare natural phenomenon known as concretion, a process in which minerals gradually accumulate and solidify over time into roughly spherical shapes. However, such concretions usually form as irregular lumpy masses, often with hollow cores or visible internal layering. In contrast, the Russian spheres exhibit completely different features: smooth surfaces, uniform composition, symmetrical stone patterns, and extremely dense solid cores, all of which suggest an unusual level of consistency that is difficult to attribute to random natural processes. Even more striking is the complete absence of any signs of human activity around the spheres. There are no traces of settlements, no foundations, no tools, no burial grounds, no pottery shards, and no cultural sediment. It's as if someone had placed these massive spheres directly from the sky, then vanished without a trace, leaving behind nothing but the absolute silence of stone and time. The sphere is one of the most complex geometric shapes to create by hand. It is the most symmetrical form, and arguably the hardest to replicate without advanced knowledge. Throughout human history, the sphere has often symbolized wholeness, the cosmos, and ultimate power. If these objects were deliberately crafted, why choose the sphere, the most difficult shape over easier forms like cubes, cylinders, or pyramids? Some alternative researchers speculate that these could be sacred symbols of a lost civilization, celestial markers, or even ancient machines no longer functioning from a forgotten age far beyond recorded history. In the Chelyabinsk region of Russia, local residents have discovered several massive stone spheres partially buried underground. Some of them protrude from the forest floor as if they had just been placed there, yet they are covered in thick moss and tangled tree roots, suggesting they have remained undisturbed for hundreds of years, if not longer. Independent archaeological teams have conducted core sampling and structural measurements, but they still cannot determine the exact age of formation, as there is no organic material inside to allow for carbon dating. Notably, in one case, a sphere weighing over 5 tons was lifted with a crane for analysis, and the results showed it was completely solid from surface to core, neither hollow nor layered, something that sharply contrasts with typical natural formations. This detail has rekindled the controversial theory that the spheres may have artificial origins. When modern science fails to provide satisfactory answers, imagination begins to chart bolder paths. Some theories suggest that the Russian stone spheres could be remnants of a highly advanced prehistoric civilization, one that existed long before the Sumerians or Egyptians and vanished without leaving clear traces. According to this line of thought, the perfect spherical shape might have been a religious symbol, an astronomical device, or even a fragment of some ancient technology that we are completely unable to comprehend today. Taking it a step further, some even propose that these spheres may be relics of extraterrestrial technology, possibly serving as energy collectors, navigation markers, or components of a now inactive mechanism. Though these ideas may sound far-fetched, the lack of clear evidence, combined with the unusual level of precision and the completely mysterious context in which the spheres appear, means that such theories cannot be entirely dismissed. Especially given that similar stone spheres have also been found in Costa Rica, Bosnia, and Guatemala, forming what seems to be a global network of unexplained phenomena that modern science has yet to fully explain. The Russian megaspheres are not famous landmarks. They are not listed as UNESCO World Heritage Sites, but they carry a haunting allure because of their isolation, their geometric perfection, and the complete absence of cultural context. They serve as material symbols of a gap in humanity's understanding of its own past silent proof that something may have once existed beyond the limits of our current knowledge. In this era of artificial intelligence and rapidly advancing technology, are we finally ready to ask serious questions about these forgotten artifacts and reclaim the missing pieces of Earth's grand puzzle? What do you think about these mysterious spheres? Could they truly be a product of nature, or are they remnants of a long-lost civilization buried by time? Or perhaps they came from an intelligence not of this Earth? Share your theory. In the comments, we'd love to know what you believe and why. Who knows, one bold idea from you might just be the key to unlocking one of humanity's greatest mysteries. Deep within the misty wilderness of New Zealand's North Island, hidden beneath ancient forest canopies, lies a strange stone structure known to few, a massive wall formed from rectangular stone blocks stacked with unnerving precision. No sign marks its presence. No legend tells its tale. No historical record acknowledges it. Only silence and stones that seem to whisper of a forgotten age erased from the memory of mankind. The Maori, the first known inhabitants of this land, make no mention of it. No one knows who built it. And perhaps most chilling of all, no one seems to even remember that it exists. Could this be the remnant of a long-lost civilization, one that vanished before history began to be written? Or is it the evidence of a mystery that time and humanity has deliberately chosen to bury? One of the most remarkable things about the Kaimanawa Wall isn't its strange shape or the rectangular blocks stacked as if crafted by human hands, but rather the complete silence of history that surrounds it. Across the entire body of oral traditions, spiritual beliefs, and genealogical records of the Maori, the indigenous people of New Zealand, and its only pre-modern inhabitants, there is not a single mention of this wall. No name, no myth, no ritual or sacred place tied to it. This raises a deeply puzzling question. How could such a large structure completely vanish from the collective memory of an entire culture? The Maori are known for their rich and precise oral tradition. Major events, sacred sites, ancestral lineages, all are remembered through traditional songs, Waiata folktales, purakau, and genealogies, wakapapa. These sacred elements are passed down through generations, ensuring they do not fade from communal knowledge. So why is it that the Kaimanawa Wall is entirely absent from this vast cultural memory? This strange absence has sparked foundational questions. Could this be a pre-Maori relic built by a civilization that lived here long before the arrival of the Polynesians? Or is it simply a natural geological formation that by chance takes on a shape so uncanny that it fools the human eye into seeing architecture? The issue grows more complex when examining the physical characteristics. If it is natural, why does the rock formation not resemble any known type of geological fracture common to the region? But if it is man-made, then who built it? Who were they? Where did they live? And what could have caused every trace of their existence to vanish completely, leaving behind not even a story, a symbol, or a myth for future generations to remember? In addition to the complete absence of any mention in indigenous records or legends, the Kaimanawa Wall has become the center of a highly controversial theory that New Zealand may once have been home to an ancient civilization that existed long before the arrival of the Maori people. According to some independent researchers and alternative scholars, the wall, composed of rectangular basalt blocks stacked in straight, orderly layers, cannot simply be the result of natural geological processes. To them, it is the final remnant of a prehistoric community, a culture that has been almost entirely erased by history and time. From this perspective, the Polynesians' ancestors of the Maori were not the first settlers of Aotearoa, but rather latecomers who may have unknowingly taken over a land that had once been inhabited by another people. If this is true, then the Kaimanawa Wall is not merely an archaeological mystery. It is a silent, forgotten, and living testament to a chapter of history that was never written down. A chapter with no name, no descendants, and no legends to remember it. However, the mainstream scientific community firmly rejects this hypothesis. They categorize it as a form of pseudo-archaeology arguments, lacking empirical evidence, credible archaeological support, or reliable dating methods, often driven by emotion or personal bias. Some scientists even argue that promoting a pre-Maori civilization theory can carry implicit racial overtones, as it risks undermining the Maori's rightful place as the original people and cultural guardians of the land. And yet the fact remains, the wall is still there, with a puzzling structure that no official scientific explanation has yet accounted for. If it's natural, why has there been no excavation? If it's man-made, why the silence? The complete absence of any serious investigation only deepens the suspicion for many that perhaps beneath those moss-covered stones lies a truth modern history is not yet ready to confront. The site of the Kaimanawa Wall is not easily accessible. It lies deep within forested terrain, close to the Waiouru military training area, a detail that has restricted public access and exploration. Some independent explorers have reportedly been turned away or told not to proceed further. What's more concerning, no formal archaeological excavation has ever been conducted at the site. There are no peer-reviewed studies, no detailed geological reports, and no published radiometric tests. Unlike other mysterious ruins around the world that attract academic and governmental interest, the Kaimanawa Wall remains almost deliberately ignored. This lack of interest in such an unusual formation has only intensified suspicions among fringe researchers. Could it be that something is being hidden? Could discoveries at the site challenge our current understanding of New Zealand's human history, and perhaps even the timeline of human migration across the Pacific? Adding to the mystery is a strange fact. Very few local residents even know about the Kaimanawa Wall, despite its proximity to public routes. Most people who are aware of it have only learned about it online or through independent YouTube documentaries. If it were just a natural arrangement of stones, it should appear in geological records. If it were truly ancient architecture, there should be at least one reference in Maori oral tradition. But neither exists, as if someone somewhere deliberately edited this wall out of human memory. Some have compared this to the Mandela effect, a phenomenon where groups of people collectively misremember something. But in the case of the Kaimanawa Wall, this feels like a reverse Mandela effect. Instead of misremembering, humanity remembers nothing at all, even though the evidence stands before our eyes. The Kaimanawa Wall is more than just a pile of stone blocks. It represents the collision between official science and alternative imagination, between what we accept as real and what we choose to ignore. And most of all, it is a question with no answer. Who built it? Why did the Maori not record it? And could this be the last trace of a lost civilization erased from history? Perhaps instead of denying or dismissing it, we should begin by acknowledging what we do not yet understand. Because one day, the silent stones of the Kaimanawa forest may speak louder than all our written histories and force us to rewrite the story of who came first. What about you? Do you think the Kaimanawa Wall is just a random natural formation? Or could it truly be the remnant of a civilization deliberately hidden by time and history? Are we possibly overlooking a vital chapter in the human story of the South Pacific? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and if you have your own theory, don't hesitate to speak up. Your perspective might just unlock an entirely new way of looking at this mystery. Buried beneath the desert sun of Luxor stands a monument that has outlived empires, the Karnak Temple, vast, majestic, eternal. But hidden among its towering pillars and weathered hieroglyphs lies a secret that no textbook ever taught us. A secret not seen, but heard. Not through language, but through vibration, through stone. This is not just a temple. It is a forgotten machine, an ancient cathedral of sound. Within certain chambers, stone columns hum with resonance. A whisper carries for meters. A tap awakens a tremor, and no one can fully explain why. Welcome to the Karnak Sound Temple, a sacred space where echoes refuse to die, where the past is not silent, but still speaking, if you know how to listen. Hidden within the labyrinth of ancient ruins where gods were once worshipped and pharaohs left their footsteps, a strange phenomenon has drawn the attention of archaeologists, sound engineers, and modern scientists alike. Certain stone columns in the Karnak Temple have the ability to resonate when lightly struck or even when spoken near. The sound produced is not just an ordinary echo, it is a deep, haunting hum, sometimes trembling like an ancient musical instrument awakened after thousands of years of silence. Remarkably, this phenomenon is not random. It occurs in specific locations, is consistently repeatable, and has remained astonishingly stable over time, despite the effects of weather erosion and the passage of millennia. This has led many to believe this is no accident, but a deliberate design crafted thousands of years ago. What makes this phenomenon so remarkable is not merely the sound itself, but the unlikelihood that it was accidental. These aren't cracks in the stone or accidental echoes from hollow walls. These resonating columns appear to have been crafted with intentional precision, as if the ancient builders of Karnak understood principles of acoustics long before the birth of modern physics. Modern archaeologists and sound engineers have analyzed the unique columns within the Karnak Temple and discovered a fascinating phenomenon. Some of the pillars emit sound at frequencies ranging from 80 to 120 Hz, matching the lowest range of the human voice or the gentle pulse of a slow-beating heart. When standing nearby, one doesn't just hear the sound, they feel it through chills, slight pressure in the chest, or a sensation of bones vibrating in sync with the resonance. These physiological reactions have led researchers to propose a bold hypothesis. Could the ancient Egyptians have intentionally engineered this acoustic effect for ritual purposes to induce a sense of sacred awe, fear, or even elevate the human mind into a spiritual state. Even more compelling is the theory that these columns were not solid all the way through. CT scans and ground-penetrating radar suggest internal cavities, air pockets, or varying densities within the granite and sandstone cores. These inconsistencies, some believe, were placed intentionally to create specific vibrational feedback when interacted with. One of the most intriguing aspects lies in the sophisticated geometry of the stone columns. They are not perfectly symmetrical, as they might first appear. Instead, many are carved with vertical flutes, gentle curves, or gradually taper toward the top features that may have been intentionally designed to guide the flow of sound waves. The surrounding space also contributes to the effect. In certain areas of the temple, a whisper can carry clearly across the room, while a shout may be mysteriously absorbed into silence. This arrangement suggests a level of understanding of acoustics that goes far beyond aesthetics, as if Karnak was designed not only to be seen, but also to be heard. The true purpose of the resonating columns in the Karnak temple remains a mystery, but numerous scientific and esoteric theories have been proposed to decode their role. One prominent theory suggests that the low-frequency sounds produced by these pillars were used in initiation rituals or meditative practices. These slow, deep vibrations could have induced altered states of consciousness similar to the effects of shamanic drumming or modern binaural beats used in meditation. In such moments, participants wouldn't merely hear the sound with their ears, they would feel it throughout their bodies, as if the entire space was vibrating in unison with their minds. Another theory posits that these columns were not just architectural elements, but tools to summon the divine, with sound acting as a medium to communicate with the gods. When priests struck the columns, the resulting deep resonance would fill the temple hall, perceived as the voice of the gods, creating an atmosphere of reverence and awe, making prayers feel sacred and alive. Additionally, some modern researchers suggest that the ancient Egyptians may have understood and applied sound therapy, a field science is only beginning to explore. The frequencies emitted by the columns, especially within the temple's enclosed space, may have aligned with natural healing frequencies such as alpha or theta brain waves, helping to relax and rebalance the human body and mind. If this theory holds true, Karnak was not merely a place of worship. It was also a healing center, powered by ancient acoustic technology far beyond the scientific understanding of its time. But the ultimate truth remains just out of reach. No ancient inscription explains this feature. No historical record confirms it. The resonating columns of Karnak remain one of Egypt's most haunting scientific mysteries, a whisper from the past encoded in stone. And it's not just Karnak. Similar acoustic phenomena have been reported in other megalithic sites, the Hypogeum of Hal Saflieni in Malta, the Oracle Chamber in Chavin de Huanta, Peru, and even parts of the Great Pyramid. But Karnak is unique in one key aspect: its scale. With over 100 stone columns, some over 10 meters tall and 3 meters in diameter, the chance for such acoustic engineering to emerge accidentally is astronomically low. In a modern age of lasers, satellites, and artificial intelligence, we still cannot fully explain how these ancients without digital models or metal tools could have carved sound into stone. Could there be knowledge lost to history? a forgotten science that blended architecture, ritual, and sound into a unified spiritual technology. The Karnak sound temple poses more questions than answers. Were these resonating columns deliberate instruments or miraculous accidents? Did ancient Egyptians harness the physics of vibration for sacred power? Or are we, with all our technology, still deaf to the voices of the past? One thing is certain: when you walk between those giant pillars, you do not hear echoes, you feel them. The stone hums, the air vibrates, and in those moments, you are no longer just a visitor. You are a part of something eternal, something deeply human, something we may never fully understand. Perhaps some mysteries aren't meant to be solved. Perhaps they are meant to be heard. Were the singing stone columns of Karnak merely a coincidence of nature, or are they evidence that the ancient Egyptians possessed acoustic knowledge far beyond their time? Could we be standing before a form of spiritual technology that has long been forgotten? Share your thoughts in the comments. Do you believe this is a natural phenomenon or a trace of an ancient intelligence that modern science has yet to decode? Beneath the earth of Italy's Campania region, once the most decadent resort paradise of the Roman Empire, lies a structure that has left archaeologists and modern engineers speechless: the tunnels of Baiae. These are not mere ruins of forgotten corridors, but a subterranean labyrinth crafted with astonishing precision, seamlessly blending architecture, geothermal engineering, aerodynamics, and psychological effects. Every step, every vaulted chamber, every stream of underground hot water seems to follow a hidden scientific principle, or perhaps a secret that defies the limits of modern understanding. Who built this system? Why is it so complex? And most importantly, could this be evidence of a level of technology that history has deliberately erased? A doorway into darkness, and a gateway that opens up questions capable of shaking everything we thought we knew about the ancient world. Baiae was once dubbed the Las Vegas of ancient Rome, a decadent resort town where emperors, generals, and aristocrats gathered to indulge in luxurious villas, hot springs, and mystical rituals. But beneath this glorious surface, archaeologists uncovered a vast network of tunnels stretching hundreds of meters, winding through volcanic rock with a design far beyond the basic needs of people from that era. These tunnels were not mere aqueducts or storage passages. Some pathways descend steeply into the earth, narrowing before suddenly opening into high-vaulted chambers. Some even connect directly to underground hot springs with astonishingly controlled temperatures. The spatial layout, light, water flow, humidity, and airflow suggests that the Romans, or perhaps an earlier civilization, had calculated every physical detail with such precision that even today we would need modern tools to replicate it. What astonishes modern engineers the most about the tunnel system at Baiae is the remarkable level of engineering in both design and construction, far beyond the conventional building standards of the ancient world. Materials such as tuff, a soft volcanic rock easy to shape, and pozzolana volcanic ash were not only used for their malleability, but also to create an exceptionally durable, water-resistant concrete that has remained intact for millennia. Notably, many tunnel sections feature perfectly parabolic arches, a structural form that evenly distributes pressure from the overlying earth and effectively prevents collapse. Even more impressive is the fact that every architectural detail, from the spacing of support columns and wall inclines to arch curvature and underground drainage, appears to have been precisely calculated, as if the builders had access to digital blueprints long before computers existed. Most striking of all is the natural hot water channeling system that harnesses gravity and pressure differentials alone, with no mechanical devices to transport water seamlessly to underground ceremonial chambers. As it flows, the changing pressure causes the water to emit a soft murmuring sound, perhaps intentionally designed as a spiritual effect, heightening the ancient perception of communion with the underworld. The tunnels beneath Baiai are not merely feats of physical engineering. They are also psychological masterpieces, deliberately crafted to manipulate human perception and sensation. Narrow corridors suddenly open into high vaulted chambers where beams of light shine through angled ventilation shafts precisely carved to create fixed illumination points, producing dramatic transitions from light to darkness, from cramped spaces to sudden openness. As one ventures deeper, it feels as though they're stepping into another realm. Distant echoes resonate. Water drips in rhythmic patterns. Humidity shifts without warning, and blasts of heat rise from below, evoking the eerie sensation of entering the mouth of the underworld, where reality is subtly distorted. These effects are no coincidence. They appear to have been engineered for ritual purposes, guiding participants into altered states of consciousness, like an ancient initiation journey. Notably, some passages are constructed with gentle spirals or zigzag patterns, making it easy for travelers to lose their sense of direction, as if being pulled into an alternate dimension. One researcher once remarked, "This is a spiritual machine, programmed with stone water and light." One of the often overlooked yet highly sophisticated features of the Baiai tunnel system is its ability to regulate air and water flow entirely without mechanical devices. Many chambers were equipped with angled, symmetrically placed ventilation shafts that allowed for continuous airflow. As heat from the underground hot springs rose, these vents would draw in cooler air from the outside, creating a natural convection cycle akin to modern air conditioning systems, yet built thousands of years ago. Remarkably, geophysicists surveying the site recorded significant differences in air pressure and humidity between chambers, proving that the ventilation and air circulation system was not random, but deliberately engineered and carefully calculated. Some scholars believe the primary purpose of this system was to create a multi-sensory experience for ritual participants, guiding them through alternating waves of heat, cold, dryness, and humidity as a symbolic means of spiritual purification through physical environment. Although the tunnels lie beneath the luxurious Roman resort city of Baiai, many modern archaeologists and engineers have begun to question were the Romans truly the original builders of this structure. The level of engineering far exceeds the typical construction capabilities of that era, combined with a ceremonial layout and architectural precision so refined that it has sparked new theories. Could this tunnel system be the surviving legacy of a lost pre-Roman civilization when compared to other ancient underground complexes like Derinkuyu in Turkey or the Hypogeum in Malta, both ritualistic, optimally designed, and still not fully understood? The similarities are striking. This leads to a larger unsettling question. Has history deliberately overlooked the earliest chapters of ancient engineering. Scholars have theorized that the tunnels were used for initiation rites, ceremonial journeys, in which participants underwent a symbolic death and rebirth. This wasn't just a metaphor. It was a literal physical experience, descending into darkness, hearing flowing water, feeling waves of heat, and finally being purified by cold water, as if the soul shed its darkness to re-emerge into the light. The spatial choreography reveals that the designer was not just an engineer, but a spiritual architect, someone who deeply understood human physiology and psychology, capable of inducing transformation through environment and sensation. Despite many explorations, the tunnels of Baiai still guard countless unanswered questions. Are there still ritual chambers hidden from view? Ancient scrolls embedded in the stone artifacts, left behind by the mysterious builders, all remain untouched beneath layers of earth and secrecy waiting. One thing is certain, this was never just a Roman bathhouse, as some simplistic theories claim. It is a cryptic masterpiece, blending science, architecture, mythology, and spirituality, a marvel that still surpasses 21st century understanding. If everything you've just read is true, that more than 2,000 years ago, ancient builders created an underground system with a level of engineering precision we still can't fully explain, then the question becomes, do we truly understand history? What do you think of the theory that structures like the tunnels of Baiai might be remnants of an advanced civilization lost to time and ignored by mainstream history? Share your thoughts in the comments. Do you believe this was a Roman creation or something far older and far more mysterious? No writing, no inscriptions, no temples, myths, or legends. Only spherical stones, almost perfectly round, lying silently in the dense jungles of Costa Rica, as if someone had deliberately left behind a message, written in a language that modern humanity still cannot decipher. These are the decode spheres, more than 300 mysterious stone balls crafted hundreds of years ago by a vanished civilization, the decode culture. No one knows why they made them. No one knows how they shaped such hard stone into mathematically precise spheres. And no one understands why a civilization intelligent enough to achieve that left nothing behind but these cold, silent stones scattered in nature. This is not just an archaeological mystery. It is a gap in the history of humanity, a zone of silence where time stone and ancient knowledge intersect in a maze of unanswered questions. First discovered in the 1930s, when the United Fruit Company cleared parts of the tropical rainforest to establish banana plantations, the mysterious stone spheres of the decode Delta in southern Costa Rica immediately stunned archaeologists. To date, more than 300 spheres have been recorded, ranging in diameter from just a few dozen centimeters to over 2.5 meters, with some weighing up to 15 tons. What makes them extraordinary is their near-perfect roundness, so precise that even modern equipment would struggle to replicate it. Most of these spheres were carved from granodiorite, an extremely hard type of stone found only in mountains dozens of kilometers away. This implies that the ancient people not only knew how to quarry and transport massive stones across rugged terrain, but also possessed sculpting techniques far ahead of their time. Yet what truly baffles researchers is not just the technical achievement, but a deeper mystery: who created them, for what purpose, and why, apart from these stone spheres, did their civilization leave no other trace behind? Among all the puzzles surrounding the Dike's stone spheres, the mystery of the culture that created them, the Dike's people, is perhaps the most confounding piece of the puzzle. Researchers widely agree that these spheres were the product of a once flourishing indigenous civilization that thrived in the southern lowlands of Costa Rica between approximately 600 and 1500 AD, before disappearing entirely with the arrival of Spanish colonizers. But what is truly astonishing is this: they left behind no writing system, no symbols, no stone inscriptions, and no written records whatsoever. No temples, no archives, no carved texts passed down through time. All that remains are some pottery fragments, a few burial sites, and most prominently, hundreds of silent stone spheres scattered across the landscape. Unlike the Maya or Inca contemporary civilizations that left behind scripts, calendars, mythology, and oral traditions recorded in text or image, the Dike seem to have been a culture that said nothing to posterity, at least not in words. This total silence renders any attempt to reconstruct their worldview, beliefs, or purpose for living incredibly difficult and speculative. Some theories propose that the Dike may have been conquered by stronger neighboring groups or swept away in waves of migration and pre-colonial conflict, leading to their erasure without a trace. Another theory suggests that they were a purely oral society, where all knowledge was passed down through speech, and when the knowledge keepers died, the memory of their civilization died with them. But if they didn't write, carve, or record anything, why did they create such perfectly rounded stone spheres that modern technology struggles to replicate? These were not random artifacts. They reflect geometric thinking, an understanding of physical forces, and possibly a deep symbolic or spiritual language. That's why some modern scholars believe that these stone spheres may be the last material language left behind by a lost civilization, messages in stone sent into the great silence of history. Upon closer study, experts discovered that some groups of spheres were arranged in straight lines or arcs, possibly aligned with celestial events such as solstices or the movement of the sun, suggesting they may have served as part of ritual landscapes or ancient stone calendars. Other clusters were found near burial mounds, indicating a religious or funerary significance, perhaps functioning as guardian spiritual markers or symbolic representations of the afterlife or cosmic cycles. A more speculative theory proposes that the spheres may represent symbolic maps, possibly mimicking planetary positions, star constellations, or even legendary lands lost to time. Researchers such as Ivar Zapp and George Erickson presented this hypothesis in their book Atlantis in America, linking certain groupings of spheres to celestial coordinates. However, no conclusive evidence has yet been found to confirm such claims. The precise techniques used to shape the spheres remain a subject of debate. Without clear tool marks, most scholars believe the Dike may have used abrasion with sand, softer stones, water, and fire, a slow and meticulous process that could have taken years to perfect each sphere. But even if that were true, why would a society invest so much effort into producing hundreds of stone spheres instead of building pyramids, palaces, or city walls like other ancient cultures? This paradox leads to an unsettling realization: they had the technical capacity, the vision, and yet left behind nothing else but these round stones. It is an irony of history that a civilization capable of producing such iconic works could not withstand the tides of colonization and cultural erasure, leaving them to be categorized today as a lost culture. Since their discovery, many of the spheres have been damaged or destroyed by treasure hunters who believed gold might be hidden inside. Others have been relocated from their original sites to decorate villas, parks, or corporate buildings. This not only stripped them of archaeological context, but also made it nearly impossible to reconstruct their original arrangement and meaning. In recent years, the Costa Rican government has taken significant steps to recover, catalog, and protect the remaining spheres as national heritage. In 2014, UNESCO officially recognized the decode spheres sites as a World Heritage Site, affirming their unique value to human history. The decode spheres stand as silent but weighty witnesses to a forgotten past, proof that what we consider impossible might simply belong to a chapter of history we haven't yet understood. They are not just stone balls. They are giant question marks resting on the border between ancient engineering and eternal mystery. They are the final echo of a people who chose to speak to the future, not with words, but with form. And until we uncover the final pieces of the puzzle, they will continue to rest there, silent, defiant, and enduring like fossilized tears of history. So what do you think about the decode stone spheres? Could they be ancient astronomical calendars, religious symbols, or perhaps even remnants of a long-forgotten civilization? If these stones truly are messages, then what are they trying to tell us? Those who look back from the future, share your thoughts in the comments. Who knows, you might be the one to unlock a whole new understanding of this mystery.